Hello and welcome to this lecture, and in this lecture we will learn how to actually go ahead and make our website look more beautiful. So in the previous lecture we have already done certain things, but if you actually run your website on the server, as you could see, it's a pretty much boring looking website which has only simple links on the websites which we used to have in the 1980s or in the 1990s. So what we need to do now is that we need to figure out a way to make our website look more attractive or look more stylish. So if you have worked with designing the websites in the front end, that is nothing but the user interface, then you might already know that a website actually comprises of two things. That is, the front end of a website comprises mainly of two things. The first thing is going to be the HTML, and the other thing is called as the CSS, which stands for cascading style sheets. So CSS is nothing but it is a set of code which is going to make your site look much more better and much more attractive. So by using CSS, you could go ahead, you could design the background, you could set up the heading, and you could do a lot of things with respect to design. Now the next thing which comes to mind is where to actually go ahead and place the CSS style which we want to create. So in case of Django, what you need to do is that you need to go into your main apps directory, which is books in this case, and you actually need to make a brand new directory and you need to name that directory as static. So let's go ahead and create a new directory and let's name that directory as static. And this directory is going to contain all the static elements like the CSS file, the images which you need to display on your website, and everything like that. So this directory is going to hold them all. So after creating this directory, what we can do is that we actually need to go ahead and create one more folder which is named book into the static directory. So it is actually similar to the templates directory. So in books we had templates, and again in templates we had this books folder right here. So again, right click on this, go to new and create a directory and name it as books, and once you are done with this, you are good to go. So the next thing which you need to do is that you need to place all of your static files in this books folder right here. So as we talked about CSS, let's go ahead and create a brand new CSS file in the books folder. So simply right click on it, go to new, select a file, and let's name that file as style.css and hit enter. So as you could see, now we have a CSS file created right over here. So this CSS file is actually going to contain the code which is going to style your web page. Now let's say that using this CSS code, you actually want to set up the background of your web page. So let's say you want to set the background equal to some image. So let's say you have an image. So what I did is that I went onto the internet and I found this image right here. And what I'm going to do is that as I want to make this image as my background image, I am simply going to copy this image by simply right clicking on it, selecting copy. Then I go back to PyCharm, and inside this books folder, I am going to paste this image so that it is a static file. So the image name is back.jpg. So simply click on OK. And that image is now going to be stored into your folder, and you could use that image as a background image in your website. So the next thing which you need to do that is you need to go here and you need to style that using CSS. So in order to set up the background in CSS to the body, you type in body first, and then in quotations you basically type in background, and let's say the color is going to be white, and the URL of this image is basically images/back.jpg. So this is the image which we have right now, and make sure that you give a semicolon at the end. So once you are done with this, you're pretty much good to go. Now once you have used this styling, the next thing which you need to do is that you also need to include, or you also need to have a link to this style sheet in your HTML code. So go to the index.html file, and here actually you should have a head and a body. So let me go ahead and create that. So let me just put up a head So let me just type in head, which is a head tag. And even before doing that, let's go ahead and let's actually have the HTML tags as well. So let's type in HTML, and that is actually going to create the HTML tag. Now inside HTML tag, you need to have head tag and the body tag. So this is the head tag, and let's go ahead and create the body tag as well. So this is the body opening tag and this is the body closing tag. Now let's cut this code and let's paste it into the body of the HTML. And in the head tag, let's go ahead and paste a link to this CSS file. So in order to specify a link to the CSS file, you simply type in link rel equals, and that is going to be style sheet. So we are basically linking to a style sheet, and the type of that style sheet is going to be text or CSS. And now you need to specify the path of that particular static file. So you type href equals, and that path is going to be static, as static is your folder name. So you type in static, and then the file is actually present in books/style.css. Okay, so once you're done with this, you're pretty much good to go. So now let's save the code and let's save the entire project, and now make sure that you restart the server. So I'm going to open up CMD. So I have not started up my server yet. So this is actually going to fire up our server. And now if we open this thing up and if we type in the URL, I guess we have a mistake somewhere. Okay, so the thing with this is that we got the error as static, did you forget to register or load this tag? So whenever we are using static files in our HTML code, what you need to do is that you actually need to include static files in your code as well. So what you need to do here is that even before the HTML file actually begins, you need to load the static files. So to load static files, you need to simply type in load static files. So now in this case, if we save the code and if we return back here and if we refresh this thing, actually I guess we still have an issue over here. The image is not loading up properly, so let me check with that. Okay, the reason is that we actually need to specify the path, and I actually need to create a folder here which is named as images. So what you could do is that you could have images over here in the folder which is called as images. So I actually need to specify the path as only back.jpg, not images. So that is after you create the images folder. So once you save this code, and that is make these changes and save this code, if you go back here and refresh this, as you could see, now you have a nice looking background image onto your website. And what I actually forgot to do is I've actually forgot to create an images folder. So let me do that quickly. So let me name this folder as images, click OK, and let me put this back.jpg over here. Let me click OK. And now what you could do is that you could have the image URL as images/back.jpg. So if you save this code now, and if you return back here and refresh this, as you could see, you will have the image right over here. But as you could see, on this background image, our text is not visible. So what you could do is that you could go ahead and you could style these elements as well. So that's it for this lecture, and in the next lecture we are going to learn something about Bootstrap and how Bootstrap can be used to style all the other elements onto this web page. So this section is specifically related to designing in Django. That is, we are not learning core Django in here, but we are actually learning how to integrate the front end or the design part with Django so that our website is a complete piece with the user interface as well as backend. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.